Hi, and welcome to another episode of It's Just Racing, hosted by Jim and Jim. I'm Jim,
And I'm Jim.
and we're going to talk about racing. Well, kind of. I didn't watch much this weekend. Um, Actually, I didn't watch any NASCAR racing whatsoever. Friday, I went to night one of the doubleheader at Beaver Dam Raceway in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. Um, Fabulous facility. I probably have 275 plus starts there over 13 years. Track is going away. I believe they have one more race scheduled, and that's it. But there was a big $10,000 to win Legends race there, which you don't hear that kind of money thrown around for Legends at all. So I went. It was Legends and Midgets on Friday night. They had 60 Legend cars and I believe 31 Badger Midgets. I have been heavily involved in Legends racing since 2007, so I felt morally I had to go. But it was really weird. I haven't been to Beaver Dam Raceway since I stopped racing in 2019 for personal reasons, and it felt really weird going back, man. Just being in the pits and the whole thing, I felt like I didn't belong. It was really kind of off until racing started, and then it was like I was back with my old friend, the racetrack.
Hey, you are a multi-race winner there.
I am. It's the only track I've won more than once at, which I better have, having 200 and whatever starts. I think the last numbers I saw, I was third in all-time starts of Legends drivers there. But that was also 5-6 years ago, so who knows? Anyway, so it was $1,000 to win on Friday, and there, of course, were the midgets there also. Tanner Jones from New Jersey won the $1,000 on Friday night in the Legends feature. So that was cool. It was great racing. The show moved along wonderfully. There were 8 heat races just for the Legends. 8 heat races, 2 D mains, 2 C mains, 2 B mains, and an A main. Plus they qualified 60 cars. And in the midgets, with the 30 or 31 cars, they had, I believe, 4 heat races, a B main and an A main, and I was in my car and on the way home by 10 to 10. It was not one of those midnight or 1 a.m. nights. There was some good racing. I'm glad I went. Also, didn't just go for the Legends. I wanted to see Parker Jones. He was tied for the most consecutive Badger Midget wins at 6. And I wanted to see him break the record. I normally don't like to see records broken. The record was set, I want to say, in the 1960s. So I was pulling for Parker Jones, and he did not disappoint. He won the 7th race in a row. Note he also won Saturday night, which made it 8, and then he won a Sunday night, which is 9. So he's currently got 9 Badger Midget wins in a row. Fantastic job. The guy can wheel. He's got a pretty kick-ass mullet too, but he drives smart. He doesn't just mash it and go. He can drive. One last note: Preston Martin out of North Dakota won the 10,000 to win Legends race on Saturday, which I did not attend because one night was enough. So anyway, like I said, I did not watch any NASCAR racing. Lane Riggs won the truck race. Your boy Connor Zilic won the Xfinity race.
That's his 5th win of the season, and he's up to 2nd in points. He's only like 20 points off of Allgaier for the lead, and he missed that race because of that injury.
Yeah, I think Zilic is going to win the championship this year. I really do.
I mean, I think it's impossible to predict the championship because of the format, but he's definitely the strongest driver right now.
As long as nobody wrecks him, I think Zilic will win the championship. He's proven he can drive on many different shapes. So he's now got a rectangle win because Indianapolis Motor Speedway is a big rectangle. So he's got an oval, a triangle, a rectangle, and a road course. So, way to go, Connor Zilic. He's definitely proven that he belongs there, which we all knew he would. And in the Cup race, Bubba Wallace won. I know there's people who are saying that NASCAR rigged it so Bubba Wallace could win. Shut up, you're stupid. In the Xfinity race, Austin Hill and Eric Almirola had a little issue. Almirola got into Hill, then Hill right-reared him and turned him headfirst into the wall. Total chicken shit garbage move by Austin Hill. He says he lost control, but if you're going to try to say things like that, don't wear white gloves because your gloves show exactly what you did.
Well, he definitely lost control of his emotions and his intellect because it was just a stupid move.
Yep. So we were waiting to see what NASCAR would do. They did penalize him 5 laps. They pulled him into the pits, basically a stop and go for 5 laps during the race. And about an hour before taping here, NASCAR did announce he will be suspended for this week's race in Iowa. One of Childress's grandkids, I don't remember which one of the Dylans, is going to drive the car instead as Austin Hill sits and thinks about what he did. Childress has already announced that they will not, what's the word I'm looking for? Appeal the suspension because it's obvious that he did it on purpose and can hurt people, so we don't do that. One last thing about the NASCAR world I want to talk about. Stuart Friesen was in a wicked ugly crash in his big block modified. I don't know what track they were at, but for some reason the track decided that it was a good idea to have a wall start like at the end of the backstretch. Friesen was running the high line and it basically ripped his car in half. Then he got hit after and it was nasty. His wife posted that he has multiple hip fractures and a broken leg. What do you think about Stuart Friesen?
When you showed me that crash, that's one of the worst ones I've seen in the last few years in any type of racing. I mean, he's lucky to have got away with as few injuries as he did, even though he's got a long road to recovery. And my initial thought is he's done. I mean, you got to retire after that. That's one where you have to look back and be like, wow, that could have been so much worse.
Yeah, and unfortunately, racers aren't normally smart enough to retire when we should. You're sitting next to one who should have retired sooner than he did. But I agree, we both love Stuart Friesen, but I really hope that this is the end of driving for him. Hopefully, he can, like Jordan Anderson after the fire, maybe he can put together a team and stay involved, because as I learned Friday, it's really, really weird not being involved. But hopefully Stuart Friesen it's not going to be fast, but has a complete recovery from his injuries.
Moving on to the world of Formula One. Formula One was back from their summer break.
I thought you were going to say the World of Outlaws. I'm like, what? We're talking about... When do you talk about sprint car racing?
No, we're in Belgium now. The circuit of Spa-Francorchamps.
I don't think they race sprint cars over there.
Probably not. Formula One was off for a few weeks. They were back with a sprint race. In sprint qualifying, which I wasn't able to watch because it was on a Friday morning, Oscar Piastri set a new lap record. And he was on pole by like half a second. So a really good lap from Oscar. Unfortunately, pole position is not where you want to be at Spa. Second place usually just drives right by you up because you got Eau Rouge and Raidillon corners, and then it's like a 1.2 mile straightaway. And so second place usually has a good run going into that next chicane. There was also good qualifying from Haas in the sprint. Really good, both their cars in the top 10. And bad for Mercedes. Both Mercedes cars outside the top 10. Not good for them. Pierre Gasly was not able to start the sprint race with a water leak. Average French car problem. So Gasly would have started 5th or 6th, but
yeah, he had a great qualifying.
Yeah. Max Verstappen from second place took the lead on lap 1. Charles Leclerc followed him in that line and was able to pass Lando for third place. Lando was able to get that third place back on lap 4 because the Ferraris just don't have a lot of pace. They're a solid, third team, but they really can't fight the McLarens.
That hurts to hear that.
They have nothing for the McLarens this year. Just the speed isn't there. So this might just be a building year with the new regulations next year. Maybe they've stopped development. Who knows? Ferrari probably doesn't even know. Lando was the quickest driver, but it's really tough to pass after the first couple laps in Spa. The top 3 were all within a second. They were real close, but nobody could pass. And so Max ended up winning the sprint race. Oscar was second, and Lando was third. And both the Haas drivers were able to capitalize on their good qualifying and score double points in the sprint race. So good job for the American team.
USA.
Then in the feature race on Sunday, the start was delayed due to rain. It always rains at Spa, and this year was no exception. They sent him out for the formation lap behind the safety car and then decided to pull him in because even Lando Norris, who was on pole position, said that he could hardly see. And when the guy in front can't see, that's not good. It's pretty dangerous, so you got to pull him in.
And then did everybody cry that they should be driving in the rain?
Well, we'll talk about that later. A few people did.
A few, like half the internet.
I thought you meant drivers.
No, I meant the keyboard warriors who've never driven anything other than their mom's Toyota Corolla.
Well, we'll talk about them after we get to the race result.
I'm sorry. I interrupted.
Oscar must have been taking notes from the sprint race because he took the lead in the same spot that Max took it from him. He took it from his teammate Lando on the first lap. And he led the field to box for slicks, except for Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton was actually the first to box for slicks after a poor qualifying. He had gone off track, past track limits, and so his lap time was deleted, and he started down in like 17th, so way out of position. He pitted on lap 12, and then Oscar and just about everyone else pitted on lap 13. Because the McLarens were so close together, Lando had to go one lap later because they would have lost too much time with the double stack. And so he was going to have to try the one stop because he lost 4 or 5 seconds to Piastri just with that one lap of less than optimal tires. Lewis, with those slick tires, though, it was really a great call from Ferrari. And that's not something you hear us say often. But it was a perfect strategy call. He gained 11 positions with that call.
And those are real positions.
Yeah, he was passing people who were on the wet
people.
tires, and he was on slicks. So it was nice to see Lewis passing people. He's, whatever you think of him, he's one of the best drivers Formula One's ever seen, and it's good to see him on form. After that, Charles Leclerc was holding off Max Verstappen for third. It was pretty close. Max was obviously faster, but with how tough it was to pass, it was not much of a battle. Charles was able to keep him behind, even in this much slower Ferrari. Lando was catching Oscar for the lead, but not quite quick enough. The laps were clicking away. He was gaining, 4 or 5 tenths per lap, but he had started like 8 seconds behind, so it didn't look like it was going to be enough. Towards the end, he got close because everybody was on the one stop. He was on the hard tires. Oscar was on the medium, so his tires were graining a little bit. He had to do a little more tire saving, so Lando was able to push more. He got to like 2 or 3 seconds, and then with a couple laps to go, he just started getting in his head and pushing too hard and made a couple key mistakes that opened up the gap and allowed Oscar to win his 6th race of the season and extend his championship lead. Lando finished second, and Charles Leclerc rounded out your podium.
Is there any chance for anyone else this year besides the McLaren driver?
I mean, I think Max is already 80 points behind, and that's 3 races, so no. But as a McLaren fan, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I get it. I don't mind them. I just like I like either close racing or total domination. I won't call it total domination because both McLaren drivers are there, so it's not like Oscar's killing everybody. Like Parker Jones is killing everybody in the Badger Midgets. Oscar's not killing everybody because his teammate is still alive. And I didn't mean that to sound morbid. I don't encourage murder of any sort, but yeah. Anyhow.
Well, now we'll get to Max Verstappen was unhappy about the race start being delayed. He thought that they should have just gone and raced right from the start in the wet with the low visibility. So he was upset about that, and he talked about that. A lot of fans, from the comments section on Instagram and whatever, we're all agreeing with Max and saying, "Oh, the FIA and Formula One want McLaren to win." No,
I think they just don't want people to die. Is that more like it?
Yeah, Normally I agree with Max on a lot of things, but this one I gotta say, Max, that's not it this week. Spa is, I think it's the most dangerous track on the calendar, at least historically, since they did away with the Nürburgring due to its safety concerns. But Spa, we've had 2 people die in support races in the rain in the last 6 years, and it's because of the visibility. And it's because of the high speed. You go up Eau Rouge, it's a turn you take flat out, and if you make a mistake or you go offline, you go into the barriers and they spit you right back out on the track where everybody's going 180 and they can't see you. And the rain just makes it even more dangerous. And so while I understand that Max is really good in the rain, and Red Bull had a wet setup on the car, so he really would have benefited, he would have had a chance to win, it just... I think that Formula One made the right choice in delaying the start, especially given the history of the track. Those are decisions where if they had raced and then something had happened, you'd look back and say, oh, they obviously should have delayed the race. So it's one of those decisions where either way, people are going to be upset, but at least this way, everybody's alive. And I think that they made the right call. So that's what I've got to say about that.
Yeah, I rarely agree with the FIA, but I concur.
One other note about that, a reason why you may have seen, more rain races in the past, heavier rain, that the drivers were able to keep going and not have the visibility problems. The cars now, they're the ground effect cars, at least until the end of this year. And they're so low to the ground, and we've got all those little channels in the floor. And what that does is it creates more downforce. But when you have a lot of downforce and then there's water, it shoots that water up and creates more spray. And so it's partially due to the design of the cars that we're having these visibility problems. Now, I know next year they are doing away with some of that, and so it might be a little bit better, but we'll just have to wait and see.
But they still race in the rain more than any other series.
Yep.
Well, other than Rallycross. But
Well, that's a whole different animal.
some guys are crazy.
Now over to a place where it does not rain very often. Laguna Seca, California, IndyCar. Alex Palou was on pole position ahead of his championship rival, which is a bit of a stretch.
Skip this whole thing, huh?
Pato started second. Pato needed to win. Laguna Seca is Palou's best track. He's raced there 6 times. His worst finish is 3rd. So that's about all you need to know about that. A couple guys went off track on lap 1. I forget who. It stayed green. They got back on. Then there was a big crash early on for Felix Rosenqvist and Kiffin Simpson. It looks like Rosenqvist was in front. Simpson missed his braking point, or Rosenqvist braked early. Either way, Simpson drove into the back of him, and they both went off track. I think Simpson retired, and Rosenqvist rejoined the race a couple laps down.
Oh, he had the Grateful Dead car, is that right?
Yeah, it was very colorful.
We didn't get to see much of that car, but that was one of the cool. I hate the Grateful Dead. I am against everything they stand for, but that car looked pretty cool.
Anyways, once they got green again, Jacob Abel crashed all by himself in turn 1.
We're gonna start the Jacob Abel fan club, and you're gonna be the president because you love him so much.
Well, okay, on the broadcast, the commentators they kept trying to. They were saying, "Oh, the throttle's stuck. You can see the tires moving," and it was kind of sad how much they were trying to come up with an excuse for him, because he just missed the corner and went straight on in turn 1 by quite a margin. It looked really embarrassing for him.
Perhaps he was changing the radio station and didn't have both eyes on the road.
Anyways, he caused another caution. After that, Kyle Kirkwood, I don't know what he was doing. He just straight up wrecked Rinus VeeKay. VeeKay was in front. Kirkwood tried to go around a couple times and then just decided to dump him. I didn't like that from Kyle Kirkwood.
Especially in an Indy car. Yeah, this ain't NASCAR where you hit people because that's how it's supposed to be.
But yeah, so VeeKay got stuck in the gravel. They waited a really long time to throw the caution.
Yeah, that was like over a lap, I think.
Yeah, it was probably because it was during a pit cycle, and they were probably doing the thing that NASCAR does sometimes where they wait till the pit cycle's complete if the guy's not in immediate danger. He was off the track in the gravel. Still, you'd like to see a caution earlier, just because that's a precarious spot to be in.
That's a high-speed area there, too.
Yeah. But then, after that, Nolan Siegel stayed out, and he led some laps under caution, and when they went back to green, he led Palou, because Palou had pitted and come back on second because he was really fast. It looked like he was driving a completely different car than everyone else.
He could have lapped the field if it would have been a caution-free race, I bet.
Yeah, he easily. So then there was a stop-and-go penalty for Kirkwood, so at least IndyCar let him know that's not okay, and cut it out. Alex Palou took the lead back, passed Siegel pretty easily. By this point, Pato was starting to fade a little bit. His teammate Christian Lundgaard was able to get around both him and Colton Herta to get into second place. Now there was another really late caution that I didn't like. Marcus Ericsson spun. It was on that hill right before the corkscrew. And it's kind of a blind hill, and he spun right at the top of it and was sitting on track facing the wrong way, and they waited way too long to throw the caution. It was dangerous, and I don't know why they didn't throw a caution. There was no pit cycle. There was a car stopped on track facing the wrong way at a blind section of track. And so I don't think it was okay. It was not acceptable. And IndyCar needs to I don't know, throw a caution flag. I don't even know what they could review.
Maybe they need more spotters around the track or something. You'd think they'd have enough.
But anyways, at this point, Alex Palou had a 32-second lead, but the caution wiped that away. and we went green with 14 to go. And then Nolan Siegel, he led some laps. He was up front early, but then he spun himself in the corkscrew, trying to pass Louis Foster. He kept spinning it and kept it going. So it was pretty smooth as far as spinning yourself out goes. It could have been a lot worse. And then a couple laps later, Santino Ferrucci did just about the same thing. Spun himself on entry though, and got stuck in the gravel, and there was a yellow for that. Went green with 8 to go, and Palou just drove away again. Really, they just could have ended the race and gave him the trophy.
They could have just not run the race.
Yeah, he won easily. He had the fastest lap by 7/10. No one could come within 7/10 of his fastest lap, and it was just one of the most dominant displays we've seen from him, even this year, where he's got 8 wins already. So the podium was Palou, Lundgaard, and Colton Herta. And what that means for the championship is it's just about over.
In real life, it's over. On paper, it's not.
Palou has a 121 point lead over Pato O'Ward. And what that means is he can clinch the championship with a 7th place finish at Portland, which is the next race. And that's what we got on the IndyCar side.
All right, and next week, Formula One is in Hungary. Is there a name?
The Hungaro Ring.
The Hungaro Ring. NASCAR Cup and Xfinity are at Iowa. I don't know why the trucks are off again, and that would be a perfect place for the trucks to race. And we will be at Road America for the IMSA race, so I have no idea if I'm going to watch any NASCAR racing this week again either. I know you're not.
Nope.
He's got another bicycle race, so he will be gone. I'll watch what I watch, and I'm sure you'll have some fun, in-depth stuff from Road America. And we'll probably talk to you next week.